Some of you, I know, voted for someone who is now going to suffer and persecute the church for the next 4 years. That on top of the fact that he supports the utter slaughter of the unborn. What have you done?
Argentina, the predominantly Catholic homeland of Pope Francis, legalizes abortion. Francis's response? Time to get that climate change under control. Why are guys like J.P. Sears beginning to sound more Catholic than most of the American Catholic bishops? This just in, Italy will be under lockdown from COVID until 2024. Want to know what Joe Biden's America will look like? Look no further than Europe. And finally, Bill Gates is going to shoot particles up into space to save the planet from the sun. What could possibly go wrong? All that and more tonight from the editor's desk. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Matt, wishing you a happy new year from the offices of the Remnant newspaper. So the infamous 2020 has come to an end, and tonight I just want to reflect briefly, I don't know, on not only on how bad things are becoming and how frightening the future is, at least at this point, but also what we're going to do to stay up for it and how we're going to fight it. Because right now, pretty much everything in the world is completely chaotic and upside down. I mean, everything. No one's ever seen anything like this. Not just the U.S. election, which is completely up in the air a long time after and doesn't seem to be getting resolved anytime soon, right? With the election situation, people all over the world looking at the American election saying, what's going to happen here? Coronaphobia now is reaching the heights of absurdity. And I know many of you are still thinking that it really is all about your health and you're going to wear the mask a little bit longer, social distance, because this is going to be lifted pretty soon. It's not going to be. This was never about COVID. This was never about a pandemic, you know? And I hope I'm wrong about that. I would love to find out. I'm just a paranoid tinfoil hat guy. And then in a few months, the mask mandates are going to disappear, the social distancing, all the lockdowns are going to end. I would love to be wrong about how I see this. But I don't think I am. I think it's going to get worse. And that's why we got to stick with Trump now as he fights in a very strange way, in a way that we've never seen a president fight. But because we've never seen a situation like this, this is incredible what we're facing. We're facing the potential end of our country, the end of life as we knew it. And of course, the situation in the Vatican with Pope Francis gets more ridiculous every day. And as a practicing Catholic, this is not easy to talk about. I don't know what to make of Pope Francis. I don't enjoy talking about the leader of our church in the way we've had to do. But the reality is we have to defend the faith. We have to defend tradition. We have to defend what for 2,000 years was the established, defined, dogmatic truths of our faith. Francis is no longer defending that. So what are the ramifications of a Catholic saying this guy is a globalist tool who doesn't seem to be Catholic anymore? I don't know, and no one else does either. You know? So we have to turn this over to God. God's going to have to fix this, but we can't go along with what's happening in the Vatican right now. We can't. We cannot accept this. We have to resist. At this point, in fact, I'm praying that men like Cardinal Burke and Archbishop Vigano and Bishop Schneider and Bishop Strickland and some of the other good bishops and cardinals will form some sort of a block to stand in this man's way, to stop him before he destroys what's left of the human element of Christ's church. It's not fun to say, but that's where we're at. Someone has to stop him. I mean, you saw his Ubi et Orbi address, right? Basically, he said, reset the world, the time has come, let Earth receive vaccines.
Tutti I responsabili degli Stati, imprese, organismi internazionali, di promuovere la cooperazione e non la concorrenza e di cercare una soluzione per tutti, vaccini per tutti, specialmente.
And everybody needs to be vaccinated now, says this globalist tool. And now, during the run-up to his native Argentina legalizing abortion, which has now become a fact, fait accompli. This is the predominantly Catholic, also the largest country in Latin America, Pope Francis's home nation. When they were contemplating legalizing abortion, because when that happens, that's the largest country in South America, all the other countries are going to drop like flies now that Argentina has fallen. What did Francis do last month as this was being contemplated, legalizing abortion in Argentina? He takes a little time out from promoting the Great Reset and building back better and the Sustainable Development Goals, which is all he cares about. He takes a little time out from that to write this little whimper of protest, which we'll throw up on the screen, to the homeboys in the Argentine. And he says, quote, "Is it fair to eliminate a human life to solve a problem?" What is this, an Aesop fable? Catholic Argentina getting prepared to have an open season on the unborn, and the most courageous, humble pontiff, full of mercy, asks the probing question, is it fair to eliminate human life to solve a problem? What is he talking about? That's guts poping, Holiness. Well played. And the irony is that nobody in the Argentine gives a damn what their most famous son has to say. And here is the diabolical reaction to the legalization of abortion in Catholic Argentina just this week. What are we looking at there? What is that other than the demonic? You want the freedom to kill your baby, and you dance in the streets at the thought of spilling the blood of your own child. These are Catholics, friends, in a Catholic country. Got any thoughts about that, Pope Francis? Your globalist friends are so inclusive that they've gone to the peripheries of your homeland to make sure everyone, even the most marginalized, can kill their own babies. Holiness. The world is literally going to hell, and all the Pope can think about is reimagining the global economy, since when is that his concern? Hanging out with his UN pals, going green, building back better, as he said specifically, and I quote, building back better, borrowing Joe Biden's campaign slogan, and now getting everyone vaccinated. That's what Peter is worried about. No more Sunday obligation. Sunday obligation. Did you notice? That was one of the casualties of 2020 as our brave bishops strive to stay safe in the face of a virus with a 99.5% survival rate. What is your problem, bishops? We don't have to go to Mass anymore? Now we're going on a year? People are dying? Old people are not getting the last rites? And you claim to be so woke that you've taken our spiritual solace away from us? You've taken our chance to save our soul, to go to confession, to repent. You've taken that away from your dying sheep, and you imagine yourselves to be sensitive, compassionate, pastoral. You wimps, you losers. We're left to thank God that some people are seeing through your demonic madness, your emasculization, you faithless, hapless shepherds. And tonight I want to cite just two examples to give us some hope that maybe this can still turn around. One comes from inside the church, the other comes from outside. The first is the pastor of Our Lady of Grace Catholic Church. I don't know who this priest is, but he comes from Indian Word, South Carolina. And someone sent me this sermon just before we shot this show tonight, and I was inspired by it. I want to share a little bit of what he has to say. Father here, Father Anonymous, because I don't know his name, what he has to say about these shepherds.
Some of you should be utterly ashamed of yourselves for what you have done. And the fact that there has been nothing spoken from our bishops themselves, they will bear the responsibility of that on Judgment Day, because they have allowed their mother, who mistreats their mother, huh? They have allowed Mother Church to be dragged through the streets, mistreated and beaten and treated as a whore. They will bear the consequences of that.
God bless you, Father, whoever you are. And again, we're seeing this. You know this. We're seeing this every day. Priests all over the world are waking up, and we need to think about that, because we're talking about a lot of depressing things tonight, and we see a lot of depressing things every day, out of Vatican all the way down to the pews. But there are also a lot of priests who are waking up, and there are a lot of people who are waking up. You know.
Hey, don't hug your children. Affection spreads infection.
911.
Yeah, I'd like to report my neighbor. No, they're not deceiving you, they're protecting you. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. Mask up! Always cover your face. It's a new normal. Cases are up. I know they said 2 weeks, but that was just the new normal. Self-responsibility is basically terrorist activity. No, please, don't come any closer. Hey, cases are spiking. Could you put your masks on? Hey, can we just put the mask on? Singing kills people, so no more singing. It's just a new normal. All the way up over your nose? Thank you. Have you seen how many new cases there are today? Dude, no gatherings. It's just a new normal.
You know, and if the church, the Catholic Church, would speak like J.P. Sears, would just wake up and say, come on, what is going on? This is farcical. If the church, the mighty church, would do that, then this demonic reset, this new world, stupid new world order would fall flat on its face. Your sheep, shepherds, would rather die of COVID than live as prisoners of the wolves that you now serve, the wolves that Francis now serves. Your master, Bill Gates, he's calling all these shots. You think he has any time for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? You think he's concerned about anything like that? He wants to vaccinate our little kids. Not just now with COVID, but anytime any other virus comes along. He wants to vaccinate us all. With what? God knows with what. Then he wants to get rid of cows. This man, he wants to make artificial beef.
Cows actually emit quite a bit of methane, which is one of the more powerful greenhouse gases. And so inventions like artificial meat may have to play a role here.
And if that wasn't ridiculous enough.
What does Gates mean by dimming the sun's rays?
Okay, so the sunlight from the sun hits the earth, gets reflected back, and is absorbed by water vapor and carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. To stop or to slow down global warming, Bill Gates' idea is that we're going to put particles in the air which are going to reflect sunlight and therefore reduce the sunlight that hits the earth and reflects back. So Bill Gates wants to try to do this, and he's given money to Harvard University to work on this. And so I guess next year they're going to finally send a balloon about 12 miles into the atmosphere and drop about 5 pounds of chalk dust to start working on this.
They're shutting down the schools, closing the churches, even the playgrounds. And there's this little child. Someone sent me this this video the other day of what the children think of the fact that these animals are now experimenting on them and closing down even their playgrounds. I got friends in northern Italy, and we've gone to see over the years, just outside of Milan. And they're telling us now that they are allowed, get this, you want to know what the future is going to look like? In Italy, they are allowed to leave their homes only for essential goods. They are mandated. They must wear masks at all times and everywhere. If you want to go to Christmas Mass in Italy, you need to make a reservation. Places like Rome, there are checkpoints now. Just like the old Nazi checkpoints, come to think of it. Checkpoints all throughout the cities. With 20 of them, in a 5-mile stretch. 20 different checkpoints. You have to try to prove why that you have reason to go on to the next checkpoint. That's what life is like right now in Italy. And drones, of course, patrol the skies overhead to make sure everybody's complying. No more than 4 people can meet at one time together, ever. And see, our Italian brothers and sisters, they thought it was going to be temporary too. They were trying to slow the spread like the rest of us. They masked up. They social distanced. They did everything they were told because it was just going to be temporary. It didn't matter because it was never about the pandemic. You see? It was always about this great reset, this new world order. And just last week, the Italian government told our brothers and sisters in Italy to expect the lockdowns, these draconian lockdowns, to continue until 2023 late or early 2024. And as we showed you last week, Bill Gates agrees with this, and he hopes in his passive-aggressive little simpering way that maybe it will be as soon as 2022, as we showed you.
Certainly by the summer, we'll be way closer to normal than we are now. But even through early 2022.
So looking at the UK now, they got a new strain of COVID, more cases, spreads faster than ever before. Oh my, look at that. That's just such a tragedy. It's so scary. We can't do anything but lock people down more, cancel all the Christian holidays, wear the masks indefinitely because there's a new strain. You see, aren't you sick of it? Aren't you sick and tired of it? How much more are you going to put up with?
There's a big spotlight on our leaders, our political leaders, especially when they're telling folks to stay home, try to flatten the curve, try not to spread COVID-19. And then you see some of these folks taking leisurely vacations.
But see, they have to tell us to be afraid because we have no reason. We have no evidence. We see no evidence of this thing. If you put a bullet hole in your TV, you wouldn't have any idea. If you stopped looking at Facebook, you wouldn't know that you're going to die pretty soon. See? See how it works? They're keeping you in this perpetual state of agitation. Doesn't that just make you feel a little used? And you look at what's happening in Europe, in the UK, in Italy, in France. I told you last time about France. My friends in France reported this as well. The night before the lockdowns hit, and this was right before the election. 400-kilometer traffic jam, people trying to get out of Paris because they're so sick and tired of this. You see, when they were told the lockdowns were coming again, even though the lockdowns in Paris had never lifted to begin with, they were just going to lock them down a little harder. 400-kilometer traffic jam. Maybe we can put some of that up on the screen and show you what I mean. That's what's happening in Europe. So in Europe, the Great Reset is already in full swing. And now Joe Biden wants to bring the United States to the same place.
And the need for this mandatory mask wearing will also be about what Joe has articulated and what a Biden-Harris administration will do in terms of creating a pandemic testing board to get tens of millions of testing kits where needed, to build a public health jobs corps, hiring at least 100,000 Americans to lead us through contact tracing as soon as we take office.
How many people now voted for this guy, Joe Biden? How many Catholics voted for him? How many priests were too terrified to tell their own flocks what was at stake for us if we violated man's law, the Constitution of the United States, and God's law by voting for this animal? And again, happily, not all the priests were afraid to speak the truth.
Some of you, I know, voted for someone who is now going to suffer and persecute the church for the next 4 years. That on top of the fact that he supports the utter slaughter of the unborn. What have you done? What have you done to your church? Look at and watch as our religious sisters will be dragged through the courts, as contraception will be set to be imposed upon them.
And that, my dear friends, is why we need to fight like hell right now. Can't wait around. This isn't going away. It's not about slowing any spread. It's about brainwashing you, controlling you. They have to get us all under control in order for this to work. So being counter-revolutionary right now has never been easier. Your little mask is like a New World Order teething ring. It's what you practice on for what comes next, and we don't know what that's going to be, whether it's forced vaccinations, some kind of a chip under our skin, 24/7 I don't know what it's going to be. You know what's coming, though. And the mask is training us to do as we're told. It's like the Nazi salute back in the 1930s. Mostly it was an outward sign to prove your loyalty. You salute or you're not part of the party, and you're going to pay for that. People say, well, yeah, I know, but I don't want to offend anyone. I want to make a scene. Really? Every martyr in history offended someone. Every martyr in history made a scene. His family, his friends, his neighbors, whoever, you know? For whatever reason, they didn't take the stand that he took. For whatever reason, they didn't stand out from the rest as she did, as the martyrs did. Right? And people, I'm sure, took offense at that too. Who do they think they are? I'm not going to die for my faith. Why are they doing that? You know, friends, I mean, how can we possibly expect to die for our faith when we can't even summon the intestinal fortitude to walk into a grocery store without a mask? A mask that study after study now has shown to not do much of anything at all to save anybody's lives or stop any virus from doing anything it wants.
Alex Berenson is one of the people in this country most fluent in the science behind this disease and our response to it. He's the author of Unreported Truths About COVID-19 and Lockdowns Part 2.
Look, masks are at best marginally useful indoors in crowded settings, okay? The best evidence before this pandemic started, before March, which is when the science was not politicized, suggests that masks were broadly useless in the general population. To the extent they were useful, it would be for people who were actively infected and coughing, and to the extent that that made any difference, it was probably just as a signaling mechanism to show people, step away from me, I'm sick. Okay, so the evidence here is just beyond weak. What's happened, Tucker, is that masks have become a talisman.
Did you get it? Ultimately, this isn't a war on COVID. This is a war on freedom. This is a war on independence. This is a war on religion. It's a war on us. It's a war on God himself.
On Wednesday in Moscow, Idaho, 3 Christians were arrested for singing psalms outdoors. Again, not Moscow in the Soviet Union, Moscow, Idaho.
I'm going to close tonight. I know I've gone way too long. I'm going to close with something that I got from a friend up in Canada, a Dr. Michalski. I think I'm saying her name correctly, an old friend of the Remnant, reader of the Remnant. And she tells me that the church lockdown up in Canada is really getting extreme in many parts of that country. She says that for many weeks now, there's been no public celebration of the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass, and it's virtually impossible to visit the Blessed Sacrament. And she told me that when she passed by a local Catholic church on Christmas this year, she came upon something which epitomizes the plight of millions of Canadians. And she took a picture of this, a little photo of it. And then she wrote a few lines. I took a look at the photo, and it touched me deeply. For one thing, these are our Canadian Catholic brothers and sisters suffering like this. And secondly, this could be us next Christmas. So this friend of the Remnant writes, I'm just going to read this to you. She writes, Christmas visit 2020. Are you still there, my Jesus? We are so alone. There's a lockdown, Jesus. We have no parish home. Your church is bolted, Jesus. We cannot enter in. Are you still there, dear Jesus, our infant God and King? We kneel upon the church step. We shed a silent tear. Lord, save us, lest we perish. For truly do we fear. You calm the storm, dear Jesus. You cured the sick and lame. End coronavirus. Heal us once again. You are essential, Jesus. O Eucharistic Lord, give wisdom to your shepherds and open wide the door. I think that pretty much says it all, friends. And I think it's a beautiful way to end 2020, this year from hell, by that photo and by those few words from our Christian sister, our Catholic sister up in Canada. We have to make sure that this goes away. We have to do everything we can to end this madness in 2021 and to never forget the spiritual element of this holy war, which is what this is. This is a holy war. And if they persecute us for fighting it, so be it. It is an honor, not a curse, to face the wrath of these people, these godless people, to face their wrath in God's name. The foundations of our church are the catacombs, the walls of which are piled high with the bones of martyrs, little Agnes, little Barbara, little Cecilia, little Tarcisius, all that remains of the sainted giants on whose shoulders we seek to earn the right to stand now and in this next year of 2021. Well, Happy New Year, friends. I know it's a little scary, but it's also a marvelous, a wonderful challenge. For whatever reason, we have not been deceived by the world. We know what we have to do, and now we just got to do it. And no matter what happens, Christ will be with us always, because he promised he would be, even unto the consummation of the world. And there's nothing Bill Gates, George Soros, or Pope Francis can do to stop that. President Donald Trump, in an event marked by providence, in my opinion, declared December 29, 2020, a national day of commemoration for St. Thomas Becket, martyred 1,000 years ago for refusing to allow the state to infringe upon the church. Why did Donald Trump do this? Unless God is with him, God is with us. God is showing us the way. We just need to go back to basics, go back to being a Catholic, to being a follower of Christ, and we will get through this. So St. Thomas Becket, pray for us. Pray for our president, too. We live free, and we will die free, because God himself has granted us that freedom and that right when he gave us life. And they can never, and they will never, take that freedom away from us. Happy New Year, friends. Thank you so much for going along with me and for listening. God bless you. Don't be afraid. We're together. We're going to fight harder than ever over this next year, and God wins in the end. I'm Michael Matt for Remnant TV, and we'll see you next week.